kind of thing.
You're getting closer with your laugh.
All right,
you're getting closer.
By the end of the episode.
God, I hope not. Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List, the show that is produced entirely with AI.
True.
People probably don't know that. We don't actually exist. We're all just generated artificial intelligence.
Yep.
It's just
We are humans.
Yes. That is how a human speaks.
This is how humans drink water.
All right, so for today, we're gonna walk right up to the line here. For those of you who don't know, we not only post these videos up on YouTube, but we also post them on our local public access channel. And there's certain things you can or can't say on a public access channel. Mm-hmm. So for today's opening spotlight, all I'm going to say is this episode will be premiering on the 20th day of the 4th month of the year. We're going to be talking about Seth Rogen movies. So I'm going to let you do the math on that one. But
What's that?
That was like a mixture between Seth Rogen and Eddie Murphy. Like a weird combo of those two laughs. So yeah, Seth Rogen. He's had actually quite an interesting career. I would say especially in the later stages, which we're going to get into here. So let's just talk briefly about him. Early history, really his first acting stint was in the hit TV show Freaks and Geeks. Mm-hmm. I say it must be a hit because it only had one season. So my theory is, having not seen it, that they just nailed it first season and they were like, we can't top this. One and done.
And I actually watched Freaks and Geeks, but I wasn't able to watch it like when it was originally airing. But I watched it pretty soon after, and I was like, this actually isn't terrible.
All jokes aside, there have been talks of a revival, or at least requests from fans for a revival. I shouldn't say talks from studios. But
I just don't know if it could ever happen with the amount of success and star power from everybody from that show. I just can't see it. It would be cool, but I'm not counting the Arrested Development reboot because it was garbage. But if you could actually reboot with everybody there doing the same thing as what they were doing, it would have been huge, but it just wasn't. They couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. But his first stint into movie acting was his debut in Donnie Darko. A lot of people forget about this. He was in Donnie Darko.
I did forget about it until I saw it.
Donnie Darko is great. Mm-hmm. That is a fantastic movie. He's not one of the reasons why it's fantastic, however. No. He has some of the weirdest lines. Like some of the weirdest is what I'm talking about here. He's not very funny. He's not meant to be funny. He's like a school bully. Not a great start. But hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yep, everybody starts somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. And then probably his first comedy movie, however, was when he acted in a small role in Anchorman just a few years after that. Fun fact, he actually auditioned for the role a role in The Office TV series. He, I believe, was going for the Dwight Schrute character.
Yeah,
obviously didn't get it. But I believe this is what so it's kind of one of those like domino effect things that you see with the timeline. Like if this doesn't happen, then this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen.
Yep.
So if he gets this role, I think from what I've kind of read, like the movie The 40-Year-Old Version with him and Steve Carell doesn't happen. That box office hit doesn't happen. And I think, first of all, Seth Rogen probably isn't as big of a star as he is now. Mm-hmm. But I also think Steve Carell's light is a little less dim as well.
Correct. Because, I remember after that film came out is when, and the success with The Office, but those two things really kind of propelled Steve Carell up. And definitely with the film side was 40-Year-Old Virgin. Mm-hmm.
But he is a little bit of a comic book fan, Seth Rogen is. He recently, more specifically I should say, has been doing a lot more producing some of these very smaller, lesser-known comic books into TV and movies. His first one was the Green Hornet movie, which he also starred in, but produced in as well. Not the best movie. Even when I was a kid, I was kind of like, this is not great.
No.
Christoph Waltz is pretty cool in it, but what is Christoph Waltz bad in?
True.
Really. But then he did kind of keep going with that. Later on, AMC had a TV show called The Preacher. Yep. This is a lesser-known comic book as well. And you definitely wouldn't know it by looking at it, but Seth Rogen is involved in it.
Yeah.
It is a very dark, sort of dark magic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you would not think Seth Rogen when you look at this one. And more recently, I know you enjoy this.
Love it.
The Boys.
And it's so weird because I know he's been a part of this, but every time, like when the new episodes come out or when we're watching the episode and I see in the beginning or at the end Seth Rogen, it's like, oh yeah, he's part of this. And
he cameoed, I think, in a season 1 episode.
Yep. Season 1 he was in.
And he cameoed in season 2 as well, I think.
It very well could be.
Okay, he definitely did, but I can't say it because it was an inappropriate scene.
Yeah.
Now that I remember it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, it was kind of funny in his cameo in season 1. He's like promoting a movie with Black Noir that they did together, which is like, well, you produced this show. Just produce that movie now. We kind of want to see that too.
Yeah, we want to see that.
But yeah, recently he's been doing a lot more producing. He's been doing a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. He's producing some of the stuff he's been in, a lot of dramas and everything. He's mainly known for comedy, but he's actually got some pretty good dramatic roles here.
Yes, he does.
Not a lot, but there's a few here I want to talk about. And if there's any you think of or that I miss, feel free to let me know. Most recently, The Fabelmans. This was, there we go right there. There's a poster. I put it up because we were going to talk about it, and then I was looking at it. I'm like, is he even on the poster? Because that's going to... He is. He's just in that corner right there, the very small one.
Yep,
it's like the smallest image, but it counts. I put thought into the second decoration sometimes, people.
Perfect.
I put thought into this. But yeah, he's got a supporting role in that one. Was at the Oscars because of it. Got to hang out with Steven Spielberg. Another one, again, another thing that he actually produced, An American Pickle. This is an HBO show. But one of the other dramatic roles that he was in, one of my favorites, The Disaster Artist. Mm-hmm. I've maybe talked about this movie in the past. For those of you who don't know, there's a long story behind this movie, I guess. I don't know if we have time to get into that. We got a lot to cover here. If you know that movie, you know it well. But he has a little bit more of a dramatic role in it. He gets to yell a little bit more. He's not as funny. And I think he does pretty good at it. Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's over-the-top dramatic. He still is funny, but just more serious. More not the ha-ha-ha-ha kind of thing.
You're getting closer with your laugh. All right, you're getting closer.
By the end of the episode.
God, I hope not. But also, one of the ones that I think most people look at when they look at his dramatic roles is his time as Steve Wozniak in the Steve Jobs movie. Mm-hmm. So... I don't know if that's my favorite one personally. I don't know how you feel about it, but one of my favorite ones, I guess, if we're just going to move into that, there's a movie called 50-50. I don't think people know this one as much, but it stars him. It stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it as well. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard as well, I believe. All really good performances. A little bit more of a dark comedy, but he's doing a little bit more dramatic stuff there. So that's a little bit about Seth Rogen. Really, we think of him as kind of this one sort of character, one sort of type of movie, but really he does have a bit more of a portfolio here.
He does.
Did I use that word right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I used it wrong. But let's just end this. What's some of our favorite Seth Rogen movies? Just if you had to pick one.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorites is I watched it as a kid was Superbad. Well, I shouldn't say kid. I was kind of old when it came out.
Younger than you are now.
Younger than I am now. But I just remember watching that film, especially between Jonah Hill and Michael Cera. I thought it was hilarious. And then after watching it, kind of looking up who directed it, who wrote it, and realizing that he was part of the writing team, I believe. And it was like, this is fantastic. And then for me, that's when I really started paying attention more towards Seth Rogen as I would say like more of a Hollywood man, not just an actor, whereas he does do the writing, he does do directing, he does do producing. So that's where I kind of turned, and Superbad was such a pivotal movie for me with me and my friends when we watched it, and I'll just always remember that film. And even though he's kind of in there for a smaller role, but just knowing how much he was influential with the writing and everything, it was great.
One that I want to talk about is another one that I think not a lot of people talked about, especially when it came out. The Night Before. This is a Christmas movie that stars him, Anthony Mackie, and, again, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They've worked together a few times here now. And I'm not going to get too much into the actual story itself, but I think there's a lot of funny moments. There is a hilarious cameo by Michael Shannon in this movie that steals the show, in my opinion. Talk about a guy who's usually too serious and like decided to let himself kind of be funny here for a second. But he's still kind of scary. That's the thing. But yeah, I think it's got a fun little message. It's three friends hanging out on Christmas. They're doing this tradition that they do every year. Yeah, I think it's overall pretty good comedy. Hey, we talk a lot about movies on this channel, but sometimes the ones we talk about aren't the most accessible. That's where the Marshall-Lyon County Library comes in handy. They have a great collection of physical media, as well as a couple of online services with many options for movies, TV shows, and documentaries. It's easy. Just get your own library card at the Marshall-Lyon County Library and gain access to their large variety of movies, TV shows, and of course, books. Also, be sure to check back every month as we here at Popcorn Bucket List make specific movie recommendations based on a monthly theme. This month, we're looking at some of the best video game adaptations of all time. So head on over to the Marshall-Lyon County Library for some of our favorites and check out the channel to get even more movie recommendations. And now, on with the show! But with that, let's move into the weekly preview, talk about what movies to look forward to this weekend. The day this one comes out, this episode I should say, Thursday, April 20th, we have a premiere on Hulu, Quasi. This is essentially a live-action comedic remake of the Hunchback of Notre Dame movies, but it's from the guys who brought us Super Troopers and Beer Fest.
Yes.
It's a spoof of the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yep.
I don't know where everyone else stands on the Broken Lizard production company and their movies. I, for one, love them.
I do, too. To me, it reminds me of, like, top-tier, bottom-tier guys just hanging out that, hey, let's make a movie about this and make it as funny as we can. And they put a lot of work and time into it, but it's like, oh, that was actually, like, a legit movie, and yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
I don't know if I'd put them in the top tier. I would put them in the top of the middle tier.
I said top of the bottom tier.
That's what I'm saying is like, here's the line.
Yep.
You have them here. I have them here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
All right.
So, like, there's the A group, there's the B group, and then there's the C group.
Yep.
So the B group, they're basically me in middle school. I was the top of the middle tier. Yep. I have actually, and that's just not me saying that. I have like actual facts to prove that, by the way. I have data. But yeah, but to your point, these guys are all a group of friends. They keep working together and everything. And that shows, I think, in a lot of their movies is when they're working together. It's a bunch of friends just hanging out, making movies together and everything. Yep. And there's some funny moments here, I think, too.
Yeah, and they've done, granted, all their films are kind of different. One, between Beer Fest, about drinking beer, and Super Troopers playing with the cops, and this is almost a period piece back in medieval times, you know what I mean?
I don't know if we can give them that, but I mean, I guess, yeah, technically you're right, but whatever. Anyways, continue.
But they're all kind of different, but they're all kind of the exact same. Just kind of off the wall comedy, funny, especially situational comedy. It's just I like it. I remember when I first saw this trailer on TV, it was The King, and he was talking to the Hunchback or something, and I'm like, is that who I think? It is. That's the guys. That's the guys. And I was like, I gotta watch it. Can't wait.
Well, I hope everyone had a fun time with that one because it's going to get real dark and depressing here throughout the rest of this preview. It has been very gloomy, I feel like, past couple weekends. We'll get more into that here in a second. But Friday, April 21st, the big weekend, one of the big ones coming out, Beau is Afraid. This one's coming out to theaters. From the guy who brought you Midsommar and Hereditary comes a very calm, very chill-looking, simple story. I'm just kidding. This one is probably even more bonkers than those two movies combined.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, it stars Joaquin Phoenix, Nathan Lane. There's quite a few names here throughout this movie. There's some animated sequences here too, as this kind of main character kind of goes on this journey. I may be speculating here, but based on the title and what I saw from the trailer, this movie really looks like how people kind of take on their fears and overcome them. Because you kind of get the sense that the main character, played by Joaquin Phoenix, has sort of like a social anxiety kind of thing. Some people just like, they can't go outside because they're afraid all these bad things are going to happen. And when you see the trailer, he like walks outside and it looks like chaos is going on.
Everything's happening, yeah.
And you're kind of like, okay, so is that actually happening, or is that just how he sees it in his mind?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think the movie's going with this.
Yep. And I think Ari Aster does a fantastic job because, like with Midsommar is just a breakup movie. It is about a couple breaking up. And then you add the horror element to really accentuate everything else that accentuate that whole experience. And I think that's what's going on here. This is just about a guy who's maybe afraid to go outside or afraid to go out and live his life, and they're just adding the horror elements to really bring that to life, make it vibrant. And I think it's gonna be awesome. Joaquin Phoenix looks fantastic in this, just the few lines that we saw in the trailer, but I can't wait.
Also coming out this same weekend, let's see if I can. I meant to like look up how to pronounce this name. I didn't, so I'm going to give my best shots here. Chevalier. This one's coming to theaters as well. A story so insane, I personally had to do some research here and try and make sure that this wasn't just all made up.
Yep.
Because there's some layers to this. Follow me on this one. Based on the real life story of Joseph Bologna Chevalier de Saint Georges.
See.
Well, he's French, so.
Oui.
There we go. Nailed it. There we go. Anyway, so he was a famous violinist. He then became a famous composer. And then to top it all off, he became like a fencing champion all at the same time. He was this African-American boy who grew up in a very elitist time in France. This is right before the French Revolution. So we're talking about peak elitism in history. Like, truly, it did not get fancier, more, I'm better than you, than it was right before the French Revolution.
Yep.
Part of the reason why the French Revolution happened. Apparently, this guy actually existed. He actually did all these things, and he kind of sort of helped push the boulder that was the French Revolution, which it had more downsides than upsides, I would say. Really, it didn't. When you look at, I'm going to get into a little history here.
All right.
When you look at the French Revolution, it didn't change as much as they wanted it to. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people died. A lot of people died for not as much change to happen as they wanted. Mm-hmm. Really, the biggest thing was that it grew to the rise of Napoleon, and then he tried to take over the world. So this movie's kind of making him out to be a hero, and he is the hero of this story, don't get me wrong. But as far as the whole, we're starting the French Revolution, I'm like,
let's hold up a little.
That's not as good of a thing as you think it is.
Yep.
Just if you have some time to look into the French Revolution, it was not good. It was not good. But overall, a very interesting man throughout this movie. Also coming out that same weekend, The Covenant, also known as Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. We're seeing, I feel like, more and more of this where directors are putting their names in the title. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I feel about it, but that's a discussion for another time.
I mean, Guy Ritchie, he's great. He's good, but he's not no Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, I don't know if he's earned that quite yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this movie is starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and as I mentioned before, directed by Guy Ritchie. This movie could have very easily been 2 movies, but it's all condensed into one here.
Yep.
So really, part 1 of this movie involves Jake Gyllenhaal's character who gets injured in combat while in Afghanistan. Pretty much his whole team is killed except for the interpreter, who's like a local in that area, who basically then kills all the other guys and saves Jake Gyllenhaal's life, like carries him through the mountains, cares for him for 3 weeks. The trailer here talks about. Saves his life.
Yeah.
Jump to a little bit later in the near future. Jake Gyllenhaal's back stateside. I can't remember his character name, so I'm just going to keep calling him Jake Gyllenhaal, even though Jake Gyllenhaal didn't do this. Yeah. I'm giving him more credit than he deserves.
Well, he did this just in a film.
He did this in a film, yes. Yeah. Anyways, he learns that his friend, he's got himself caught into a pretty sticky situation as well. He wants to go and return the favor. He wants to go and save him like he saved him. And basically the Army's like, we can't go into this area. We can't authorize this mission. We can't intervene with this. So he decides to go rogue. And he goes to go save him himself. This is not based on a true story. However, situations like this did kind of happen during the Afghanistan war. So it's kind of one of those, we're just going to take a bunch of stories and kind of combine them into here, which I like
with a little dash of maybe James Bond or Jason Bourne, kind of throw that in there.
It did get a little espionage. It did get a little Jason Bourne-y there in the end. Overall, pretty interesting movie there. Pretty interesting war film.
Yep.
Also coming out this weekend, Evil Dead Rise. Also coming to theaters. You look excited for this one.
So excited for this one.
Why don't you go ahead and take this one? Talk us about. I don't know a lot about the Evil Dead franchise. From what I know, this one's not too connected to all of them, but it's still part of that world. Yeah, so let's know.
From what I know, I think it's just the person has the book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, or however you say it. But I love I really enjoy the Evil Dead series. I remember watching them when I was probably way too young to be watching them. And I enjoyed them. I thought they were good. I loved Ash versus the Evil Dead. I think that was on HBO or HBO Max or HBO or just Max.
It's called Max now.
Yeah. They might still be up there. I think they're available on Netflix for a while too, but that show's great. But yeah, it's super bloody, pretty scary. But yeah, I think it looks great. It's going to be a good story, going to be fun. It'll be good.
A lot of demon movies coming out recently.
Yep.
A lot of demon movies.
Demons.
Pope's Exorcist last weekend. Also, you had that Dracula movie, which isn't demon, but it's kind of along those lines of scary, evil stuff. It's starting to feel like we skipped summer and it's like Halloween all over again. Did we miss a few months? Did no one tell me?
Does it ever not feel like Halloween? I love Halloween. It should be Halloween year round.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, did I hibernate in the middle of April and just nobody told me? It would have been nice to know. It would have been nice to get the memo.
Yeah. Maybe instead of the 31 days of Halloween, we'll just do the 12 months of Halloween. Well, that's what I'd like.
You gotta have a break in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
11 months.
Christmas. We'll give
11 months of Halloween. Christmas gets 1 month.
Yeah, December gets 1 month.
We combine Thanksgiving with Christmas.
Yes.
Easter. We're just gonna cut Easter. Sorry.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Let's take a quick moment here and talk about the Marshall 6 Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota. The theater with the best selection of movies and concessions around. As the weather starts warming up more and more here, that means better and bigger blockbusters will be gracing the theater screens all across the country. So make sure you stop by the Marshall 6 Theater for the best selection of movies, of concessions, of some great showtimes, and make sure you check out their website to figure out which showtimes work best for you. They plan many of these days in advance, so that way you can plan ahead and get the best showtime that works for you as well. So head on over to the Marshall 6 Theater for the best movies and concessions around.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Also coming out this weekend, Judy Blume Forever. This one's coming to Amazon Prime. It is a documentary about the author, Judy Blume. This is especially interesting because one of her books, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, will be coming out next weekend. So that's a little preview of next week's preview.
Oh, whoa.
Previews on previews on previews.
Whoa.
Previewception, if you will. Yeah, that's right. That's all I got on that one.
That's a lot. Start calling you Chris Nolan.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm not going to say no to that. He's my favorite director of at least recently.
Christopher Nolan's your favorite director. You'll be Chris Nolan.
I'll be Chris Nolan.
Chris Nolan.
I'm Chris Nolan's apprentice.
Yeah.
Anyways, gotta be honest, I don't know a lot about this author and everything. Didn't really know much about her, so a lot of this was new information to me. I knew that this movie coming out next week was based on a book. I didn't know she was the one who did it. So really good timing on Amazon Prime's part, getting this documentary out. That's some like deep level like marketing strategy.
Yep.
Let's come out with a documentary about the person before her book gets premiered as a movie.
Yep. Get that money.
That's some talk about levels on levels on levels.
Whoa.
That's some fourth dimensional thinking right there.
Where's my spinning top? Is this real?
Finally coming out this weekend, A Tourist Guide to Love. This one's coming out on Netflix. Classic story.
Classic.
Girl breaks up with guy.
Well, no, they didn't break up.
I got the sense they broke up.
I got the sense that they were taking a break. I was just saying,
okay.
I didn't get the sense that
now we're going to open up the whole Ross and Rachel thing right now.
All right, yep.
Because I agree with Ross. They were on a break. The break's a breakup.
Yeah.
That's a breakup.
But then again, also it's the trailer, so who has any idea?
Well, now we have to watch the movie and see what happens.
I was under the impression that they weren't broken up.
Shout out in the comments, by the way. Did you believe Ross and Rachel were on the break? Who was right on that one? Who was right on that one? I want some info on that.
I don't watch Friends, so I don't know.
Okay, fine. Girl and guy temporarily separate, possibly mutually. I had a whole thing here. I had momentum.
Why don't you start over?
Okay, we're going to start over. Right. Thank you. Classic story.
Classic, baby.
Just heard it a million times. Girl breaks up with guy, goes to another location, finds a new person. Guy one re-enters the frame. Love triangle forms. Comedy ensues.
Yes.
Which that's the purpose for this movie. This time it is set in Vietnam, however.
Yep.
Got to be honest, to the movie's credit, really makes Vietnam look pretty cool.
It does. The colors make it look very...
And to be fair, usually when you think Vietnam, you think Vietnam War, which isn't really fair to Vietnam. They've moved on from that and everything. But that was kind of a funny moment in the trailer for me when like the girl's boss is like, "You need a vacation. I'm going to send you somewhere. I'm going to send you to Vietnam." And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
What?
the hot destination vacation area, Vietnam.
Yeah.
But to the movie's credit, it does look actually pretty good.
It does.
It does look pretty cool.
I think I would much prefer if you had love triangles to settle them over hand-to-hand combat. I'm not as opposed to this like, oh, let's all three go out to the circus. Let's all three go bowling.
To be fair, there's not a lot of conflicts that you don't want solved through hand-to-hand combat.
That's true. It's true.
I once saw you arguing over a cookie with someone and raising your fists.
Yeah.
So.
Chocolate chip, soft.
It was raisin. No, I think you just wanted. I think you just wanted to fight someone.
I could have just wanted to fight. That's fine.
That's definitely what happened. But that is everything coming out this weekend. A lot to choose from. Mm-hmm. Busy weekend. So go and check those out, or check out a movie you haven't seen yet that came out recently. But talking about things that came out recently, let's talk about some number one recommends. Now, I put this in the outline last week, and then you did a plot twist on me, and you're like, "No, I'm actually going to do that next week." So I'm going to hold you to it.
Yep.
Is what I put in the outline what you're actually recommending this week? All right, let us know. Talk about it.
All right, so I was able to watch Air, the story of Air Jordans. I don't know if that's the tagline or not, but I'm going to go with it. This movie was fantastic. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Chris Rock? No.
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. Let's cut that out of there.
No, I'm going to leave that in. I'm going to leave that in. I decide what gets cut out and what's left in. Keep the camera on him. There we go.
I saw it like 2 weeks ago. It's been a while. But no, it was great. I thought they did a wonderful job of hiding Michael Jordan and really emphasizing the importance of his mother and how she helped him kind of get to where he was with all this contracting stuff. And I liked that it showed some of the actual brains and the muscle behind making these kind of deals, where the guy that actually builds the shoe and puts the shoe together, nobody knows who that guy is. The guy that's up in the lab cutting things and doing things, nobody knows. But this guy gets a pretty good reputation from this film, and I think I always like when films do that, and especially about real people. Absolutely phenomenal. If you know Michael Jordan, if you like basketball, if you like any of those actors, watch it. It's really, really good.
Speaking of Air, Mine is kind of about air, but actual physical air. I'm going to talk about Airplane, the 1980s classic. We did a little double feature. I could talk about the other movie, but it wasn't good. So then we watched Airplane just because we wanted to rewatch it. And man, this movie, I forgot how funny it was.
It's great.
It's one of the classics for a reason. It's in like the top 5 lists of everyone's top 5 comedies for a reason. I could go into hours and hours and hours of talking about all the things that are good about this movie, but then I'd just be reading the script because that's how much is in it. Like, not a single line is wasted. Not a single moment of frame is not meant to make you laugh. And, you know, when you swing that hard, most of the times you miss. This wasn't just a home run. It was a grand slam that went into another park, had so much force behind it. It bounced out of that park and was a grand slam out of that park as well, in my opinion. So Airplane and Air, 2 movies to check out.
Oh, hold on. Airplane and Air. When's this show come out?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. The 20th of the 4th month?
Yeah.
It's pretty high. Airplane, Air, 420. Blaze up, baby. Right?
I want so much to keep that.
Let's go.
That was probably one of the best jokes you've made, and I have to cut it. I can't put that, at least not on that. Yeah. I can maybe keep it in the YouTube one. I'm going to keep it in the YouTube one. There you go, people. For those of you watching the YouTube one, that's a little people watching the public access. Guest. Yeah, that's the Meyerberg cut right there.
Boom.
There we go. But on that high note, yep, another pun. There we go. That's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you want to see any of our other movie recommendations, check out our display at the Marshall Lyon County Library. This month's theme was video game movies, and with Mario still crushing it, that's still pretty relevant. Also, to see some of the biggest movie releases, head on over to the Marshall 6 Theater. And for myself and Ryan Meyerberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.